Hello, everyone, and welcome to what is going to be called Raster video. This is a little unique. When I teach this class face-to-face, often I'll do exercises where essentially I'll give you sort of a finished product in class. I'll show you my .fla video and ask you to recreate it. We don't have quizzes in 2D animation and interactivity, but sometimes we have a bit of a sort of test on our skills. Most of this stuff should be stuff that you understand in relation to things we've done before. I'm introducing two new concepts here. One is the introduction of raster-based imagery, which is a fancy word for photographic imagery, and video. So let's start with the end. So I'm going to go to Control, Test, Movie. And let's break this apart. And we're going to sort of see this play over and over again. We essentially have three things. We have this hill image with the trees in the background. We have this video of clouds going by. And we have our bird movie clip. And you'll see it's sort of slightly altered. Now, it is your job in this exercise to essentially recreate this raster.swift here, okay? And the idea is introducing, again, some new topics of video, which I'll go over here in a second, as well as sort of testing your ability to sort of organize a .fla file, and ultimately sort of give yourself some opportunity, especially in the coming project, to introduce some of this new stuff. Again, raster-based or photographic imagery, or video. Now, you'll note that on D2L, I have uploaded this clouds.flv. This is essentially, and I'm going to double click on it. This is essentially a, it's left over from when Animate was called Flash. This is essentially a Flash video. That's the FLV. It's something that I have converted from, I think, a QuickTime video. On D2L, I will have also posted a link to a video converter. This is a website that can basically take video that you have taken and convert it to .flv so that you can use it in an Animate file. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. The other thing provided is this image called hill.jpg. This is, and we can sort of see it here a little more clearly, this is a photograph. In Animate, I have sort of converted this thing to a bitmap image. So I'm going to go over these two new concepts as well as how we sort of work with our bird movie clip. Now, let's start with the easiest, which is that bird movie clip. I have bird, sort of one of the versions that I've done in previous classes. I can't remember if this is exactly yours, but it's essentially the same thing. We remember bird sort of flying. You can take symbols, and I'm going to right-click on this one, and we can sort of also click on it and copy it in a more traditional fashion, but I'm going to right-click on this, and I'm going to copy this, okay? And then I'm going to come over to my raster, okay? I've already pasted it down because this thing is done, but when you want to sort of recreate this, you're going to paste this down into your movie. So that's the way we get bird movie clip over to a new file. Now, one thing I've done, and I'll sort of jot down sort of the requirements for this in again, not the step-by-step. I sort of changed bird movie clip. Our original bird wasn't, if I remember correctly, it wasn't sort of colored in, so it was see-through. I want to color that in, okay? So you'll see this is my original bird movie clip, and I've simply colored that in, okay? So that should be bird movie clip. Pretty straightforward. Next, let's deal with hill.jpg. And in order to sort of demonstrate what I'm looking for, I'm going to actually insert a new scene. You guys won't do this. I just need sort of a blank slate to sort of show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to grab hill.jpg, and it's approximately the size of my stage, and I'm going to plop it down here. In order to sort of get what we're looking for in that final file, we need to go to bitmap, trace bitmap. Now, when we do this, we get all these different options, color threshold and minimum area. I'm going to sort of see what this 40 and 3 does. I think yours might pop up as 80 and 2. If we hit that, we essentially get a somewhat accurate version of this image here. Okay. Now, our final image has a video of the clouds. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, and it's going to be a little more efficient with my eraser. I'm going to make my eraser tool considerably larger. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to erase all this stuff. Okay. We can also click on portions of it and just hit delete. That might drive you crazy because some of these things are kind of small. So I might go back to the eraser. Okay. I'm not going to video all this. You sort of see how that's done. In the end, we will end up with something that looks like this. Okay. So again, these are hints as to how to sort of finish this exercise. Clouds.flv, this thing's been converted. So it's as easy as sort of a drag and drop down onto our scene. One thing you need to think about is sort of how, and I'm going to get rid of this, how our video is sort of arranged. The sky video is in the back. The hill with no sky, and again, this is sort of the version of that trace bitmapped that I sort of just demonstrated on my sort of scene 2 over here. You guys can do it on your scene 1, is on top of that sky video. And then on top of both of those are 2 movie clips that simply sort of run out. Let's see here, pretty far. And I'm going to make this pretty long. See how far it goes. 28 seconds. So I'm going to suggest when I give you guys the hints on D2L that this be pretty long, 20 to 30 seconds. So in essence, we are looking for a Swift file that looks like this. It contains our trace bitmapped hill.jpg. Okay, you'll see that this isn't a photograph anymore. It contains my clouds.flv. And it contains my sort of very slow flying birds. They're slow flying birds because I have sort of tweened these out to 28 seconds. Okay. Again, I will end with how I started. We don't have quizzes in 2D animation, but we do have some checks on our abilities. And this is also sort of introducing some possibilities. Introducing video as a possibility and introducing this raster-based imagery, meaning photographs, as a possibility. Now, what should you not do with video in particular? You should not film a video of you and your friends doing something, I don't know, and then sort of simply convert it to a .flv and call that your animation. That is not an animation. I like to think of these videos almost like I like to think of sound. They are textural, they're sort of added aspects, but they are not your animated videos. They are small supplements to the visual possibilities of our videos. Okay, so I'm going to post some suggestions, and they're going to sort of mimic what I talked about here, or requirements for the video. What's required, essentially. This raster trace bitmapped image of the hill, the clouds video, and 2 bird movie clips over a good amount of time. I will post the SWIV so you can sort of see what it looks like, but yours, actually, sorry, I won't post the SWIF because we sort of looked at it here. I will post the sort of suggestions as well as our clouds.flv and our hill.jpg. So good luck with this. This is, again, introducing new concepts and a bit of a check on your animate abilities.